Chosen one, stop what you're doing and listen closely. This is not a coincidence. The stillness you feel tonight is not silence. It is the sound of heaven holding its breath, watching as power shifts in your favor. Something is breaking open in the unseen. You have felt it all day, an unease, a stirring, a holy restlessness. You couldn't put your finger on it, but deep in your spirit, you knew something is different. This isn't just another midnight. This is the hour of divine reversal. The night that flips the script. God's power is not distant. It moves in waves. Impulse, quiet but unstoppable. And tonight, His power is moving for you. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, the plans of darkness are unraveling, and the light of heaven is making a beeline to your doorstep. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. The time has come for the fulfillment of what God whispered to you in secret seasons, those moments you didn't tell anyone about. The tears that hit your pillow. The prayers that felt unanswered. They were seeds. And now, the ground is trembling because harvest is here. You have cried, Lord, when? And heaven now replies, now, my child. This is not just a season. This is a turning, a divine moment wrapped in the disguise of midnight. The kind of moment that alters legacies, shifts bloodlines, and marks you forever. You may not feel qualified, but you were chosen before the foundation of the world. Your name has echoed in heaven's throne room longer than you've been breathing. You were scheduled for now. Destined for now. The delay was divine, but the wait is over. You didn't miss it. You didn't lose it. You're right on time. The very things that made you feel disqualified are what God is using to set you apart. Every scar, every failure, every lonely night, they've been repurposed by heaven. You thought you were being punished, but really, you were being positioned. Paul reminds us in Ephesians 2, Look, God raised us up with Christ and seated us with Him in the heavenly realms. This is not future tense. This is now. You've already been lifted. The only thing left is for you to realize it. The veil is lifting tonight. Illusions are breaking. Truth is rising like fire in your bones. Chosen one, I need you to grasp this. Nothing will ever be the same again. What took years will now take days. What felt impossible is suddenly within reach. Don't be distracted by what still looks the same in the natural. God often shifts the spirit before the scene changes. But mark this night. Write it down, because you will look back and say, that was the moment. Everything changed after that. This is why the warfare increased. This is why sleep has been stolen. The enemy is terrified, not of your past, but of your future. He hoped to break you before you arrived, but he failed. You made it. And because you made it to this moment, all of heaven is standing in attention, ready to move with you. You don't need 1 million people to believe in you. You don't need the approval of men. God's hand alone is enough. When He says, it's your time, no demon in hell can delay it. No betrayal can block it. No mistake can cancel it. You are His chosen one, and this is your appointed hour. So here's your prophetic act. In this exact moment, comment, I receive it as a sign that you hear this. You receive this, and you align with heaven. Type it boldly. Type it as if every angel is watching, because they are. The number 7 represents completion, perfection, and divine fulfillment. Triple it. and you declare that the fullness of God's promise is not just near, it is here. Don't scroll past this. Don't silence the voice you feel deep inside. That tug you feel, that's the Holy Spirit stirring you awake. This is not just another word, it's your word. It's your moment. Chosen one. You were born for this hour. You are not a product of randomness or human intention. You are heaven's idea wrapped in flesh, sent to earth with a mission stamped in eternity. Long before your first cry echoed in the delivery room, the courts of heaven were already whispering your name. The world may have called you unexpected, unwanted, or unworthy, but the throne of God has never once questioned your purpose. There are moments in life when the illusion of insignificance creeps in, when the weight of your current reality tries to convince you that your existence doesn't matter. But hear this now. The very fact that you are breathing in this exact moment is proof that heaven still has plans for you. You've been preserved for now, not just to survive, but to rise. The shaking you feel isn't chaos, it's construction. God is not abandoning you, He is awakening you. Your spirit has been sensing this shift for a while, but tonight, it moves from sensing to stepping, from wandering to walking. Every battle you've faced, every door that slammed shut, every person who left it was all part of the divine choreography guiding you here. It was written in Jeremiah 1. Woo. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. You weren't just born, you were sent. And you didn't miss your moment, you've just arrived at it. Don't allow the enemy to distort the truth with delay. Delay is not denial. Sometimes heaven hides its best warriors in silence, only to reveal them when the hour turns critical. And now, the hour is critical. You're not watching this by accident. Something in your spirit has been rising up, refusing to settle. You felt the tension between what is and what should be. That restlessness is holy. It's the divine friction between your calling and your current. It's God pulling you forward while the enemy tries to anchor you in stagnation. But make no mistake, you're moving. You were never meant to blend in. You carry an oil that the world cannot explain. And it's that oil that's making room for you now. Doors that wouldn't budge before will begin to swing open, not because of who you know, but because of who knows you. Heaven knows your name. And when heaven speaks your name, hell trembles. There is a sound attached to your life that can't be silenced. It's not in your volume, it's in your obedience. Your yes, even when whispered through tears, echoes louder in the spirit than the enemy's loudest roar. You've cried in private. You've worshipped while wounded. And God saw it all. None of it was wasted. In fact, it was required. Some of the most painful seasons were actually proof of your placement. You were targeted because you're chosen. Don't let the fire make you question your anointing. Remember the words in Isaiah 43. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. You weren't being destroyed. You were being refined, transformed, strengthened. This is why you couldn't fit in. Why you always felt like an outsider, even among those closest to you. Your spirit was never built for comfort. It was made for calling. Others may be fine, living in routine, but something in you has always longed for more. That's not pride. That's the pull of purpose. You were made to break the mold. And now, the mold is cracking. The discomfort, the discontentment, it's not punishment. It's preparation. God is stretching your spirit because He's about to expand your territory. The old wineskin won't hold what he's pouring next. That's why you feel the tension. Heaven is enlarging your capacity, breaking off limitations that were never yours to begin with. This is your training ground, not your tomb. You're not stuck, you're stationed. And when the trumpet sounds, you'll know it's time to move. But for now, God is anchoring your identity so deeply in Him that no storm will ever uproot you again. You're being established, rooted, sealed. You carry something eternal, a mantle that others overlooked because it wasn't loud. But God never needs volume. He looks for vessels. You are that vessel, cracked, maybe, but never discarded. In fact, your cracks are where His glory will shine brightest. The very things you tried to hide are the platforms He's about to use. Chosen one. Do not confuse obscurity with abandonment. David was anointed in the field before he was ever seen on the throne. You may feel hidden, but you are not forgotten. In the unseen, you've been growing roots. And when you rise, it won't be shallow. It will be unstoppable. There's a generation waiting for your obedience, waiting for your yes. They don't need your perfection, they need your surrender. You're not just chosen for this hour. You're chosen because of it. Everything in your story has led to this intersection between heaven's intention and earth's need. So breathe deep. Straighten your shoulders. Let the weight of past shame fall off like old skin. You're walking into your assignment. You're stepping into alignment. Heaven moves with those who move with God. You were born for this hour. Don't forget that. Chosen one. Your hidden battles have not been ignored. You've cried when no one saw. Fought through storms while others slept peacefully. Smiled when your heart was breaking. And all the while, you wondered, does anyone see me? Does anyone really know what I'm carrying? Heaven saw. Heaven still sees. What you called survival, God called sacred warfare. You thought you were alone in those moments, but you were surrounded by angels, dispatched to guard a destiny too great to be exposed too early. This is your confirmation. That pressure, that weight you've been under, it's not punishment, it's proof. Proof that you carry something valuable. Hell doesn't attack what isn't a threat. And make no mistake, you are a threat. To darkness, to bondage, to every generational curse that thought it had your name written in chains. You are the interruption. You are the break in the pattern. You've asked, why me? But heaven replies, because you're the one who won't fold. You are the one who prays, even with cracked faith. The one who shows up when it would be easier to walk away. The one who worships while wounded. That's not weakness, that's warrior. God is revealing now what He's been doing all along. You weren't waiting, you were being watched over. The silence wasn't absence, it was strategy. God doesn't always speak in the storm. Sometimes He lets the waves hit just to show you they can't sink you. You didn't just survive, you've been sustained. In 2 Kings 6, Shalup, the prophet said, don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. You've been outnumbered in the natural, but outmatched is not your portion. God has stacked heaven on your side. You may not have seen it yet, but that doesn't make it any less real. You carry favor that can't be measured in followers or finances. You carry fire. That's why relationships crumbled when they tried to touch your anointing. That's why environments changed when you walked in. You've been carrying weight you didn't even understand. But tonight, the revelation begins. The enemy hoped to keep you questioning your identity, to keep you trapped in the fog of fatigue and doubt. But the veil is lifting. You're starting to see with spiritual eyes. You're beginning to remember what the enemy desperately wanted you to forget: who you are and whose you are. God is breaking you out of the prison of performance and into the palace of purpose. No more proving. No more striving. You're not working for approval, you're moving from it. You were approved the moment God said your name and assigned you to earth. Every dark place you've walked through has been a lamplit tunnel, not a grave. You didn't die in that depression. You didn't stay in that addiction. You didn't drown in that betrayal. And that wasn't your strength. It was His hand. You were never alone. Not for a second. Chosen one. You've carried so much for so long that you forgot what it feels like to rest. But God is now exchanging your burden for breakthrough. You've been shouldering everyone else's pain, but this moment is about you. Not in a selfish way, but in a sacred one. God is pouring back into the vessel that kept pouring out. You're not weak for being tired. You're just overdue for revival. And it begins in your spirit tonight. The help you prayed for is on the way. Reinforcements have been dispatched. Strength is being restored. And no, this isn't a false hope or empty hype. This is a divine announcement. You're not crazy. You're called. Remember what was written in Psalm 34:17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. You've been crying out, and now deliverance is in motion. Chosen one, I know you feel weary, but your weariness is not the end. It's the indicator that something powerful is coming to the surface. Do not misinterpret the exhaustion. Birth always comes after labor. You've labored long. Now the delivery begins. If this word touches something deep in you, mark this moment. Comment 111 below as a prophetic sign that you're stepping into alignment. Awareness and anointing. 111. One for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Spirit. A full agreement in heaven and earth that what was promised is now being activated. This is not hype. This is holy. The shift is already happening. Chosen one. Hell is nervous about you. If you've ever wondered why your warfare felt personal, why your life has felt like a battlefield since birth, it's because darkness recognized your potential before you did. Demonic systems marked you early, not because of what you had, but because of what you carry. Before you ever spoke your first word, the enemy launched a campaign of confusion and attack to silence what God had destined to roar through you. The torment wasn't random. The rejection wasn't without reason. The sabotage wasn't coincidence. It was all strategic, and it was all because of who you are in the Spirit. You see, you were never supposed to stay hidden forever. God may have kept you in the shadows for a time, but you were never meant to be invisible. Heaven's assignment on your life casts a light too bright for hell to ignore. You carry disruptive glory, the kind that doesn't just bless people, but also dismantles principalities. You shake the very ground that demonic structures have stood on for decades. This is why confusion has followed you like a cloud, why the attacks have often come in waves, relentless and ruthless. The enemy couldn't stop your destiny, so he tried to assassinate your confidence. He couldn't kill your anointing, so he tried to convince you it wasn't real. Every lie whispered into your mind was an attempt to fracture the mirror you were meant to reflect heaven with. But no more. The lies are being shattered. The fog is lifting. The confusion is breaking. You are beginning to see what the enemy tried to hide. The truth of your divine identity. You are not ordinary. You never were. You were born to tear down, to uproot, to establish. There is apostolic weight in your walk, prophetic fire in your words, deliverance in your presence. The demonic realm knew this long before you did, and that's exactly why you've been under siege. And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still carrying a sound the enemy couldn't silence. The same one who tried to destroy you is now watching in horror as you rise from the ashes with fire in your eyes and purpose in your steps. What was meant to break you only built you. What was sent to silence you only sharpened your voice. In Luke 10, Jesus declared, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. That's not a metaphor. That's a mantle. You don't just survive the enemy's tactics, you trample them. You walk with a heavenly authority that doesn't need to shout to be recognized. Demons discernent. Environments react to it. Heaven backs it. There's a reason you've been feeling the intensity increase. The darkness senses its time is short. What's coming through you is going to shatter chains that have kept entire bloodlines bound. Your yes is bigger than you. It's generational. And that's why it's been so hard. That's why the warfare doesn't match your surroundings, because it's not about where you are. It's about what's inside you. Even your dreams have been under attack. Night terrors, confusion, spiritual interference, because your dreams are portals of revelation. The enemy has tried to block your insight, but God is reopening the wells. The dreams will return, clearer, louder, sharper, because this next move isn't just about what you feel, it's about what you see. You're entering a season of prophetic clarity. What once felt foggy will come into focus. You'll begin to discern motives, assignments, even atmospheres with divine precision. The gift has always been there, it's just been under pressure. But pressure never destroys what's real. It only removes what's not. Chosen one, you were never meant to fight like the rest. Your weapon is not just your words, but your worship. Not just your praise, but your posture. Hell is nervous about you because you haven't quit. Nervous because you still show up. Nervous because despite every hit, you keep aligning your spirit with the throne of God. You are a walking breach in the enemy's system, a divine glitch in hell's blueprint. They didn't see you coming, but heaven did. You were born with breakthrough in your blood. And now, it's rising. You're stepping into the kind of boldness that makes darkness tremble. The kind of confidence that doesn't come from self, but from the Spirit. No more second guessing. No more playing small. The lion inside you is waking up. You were never created to cower. You were formed to confront. So take your space. Take your authority. Walk like you're sent, because you are. You didn't survive just to live a quiet life. You were forged in fire for a holy rebellion against every demonic lie that said you wouldn't make it. And the very ones who wrote you off will watch you rise. Not in arrogance, but in anointing, because when God decides to elevate, no demon in hell can vote against it. Chosen one, you disrupt the darkness just by being alive. You don't need to raise your voice to make demons tremble. You don't need a stage or spotlight to release God's glory. When you walk into a room, the spiritual temperature shifts, not because of who you are in the flesh, but because of who walks with you in the Spirit. You carry divine weight, and hell has always known it. That unease you've felt in certain environments, that awkward tension when people seem to pull away without reason, it's not your imagination. It's not rejection, it's resistance. spiritual resistance, because your very presence confronts what's been comfortable in darkness. Your light makes hidden things uncomfortable. Your silence speaks volumes to spirits that feed off chaos and confusion. You carry atmosphere-breaking power. Chains start to rattle when you pray. Walls begin to crack when you worship. Bondage gets nervous when you simply show up. That's why the enemy has tried so hard to make you doubt your worth. If he can't kill you, he'll try to convince you you're irrelevant. But he's too late. You've seen too much, endured too much, grown too much. You are the light that darkness has no answer for. In John 1, woo, it was declared, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. That's you. That's your life. You don't blend, you blaze. Even on your quietest days, your existence is warfare. You may have felt overlooked by man, but in the spirit, you're impossible to ignore. That's why some doors closed. Not because you weren't good enough, but because God was protecting your oil. You don't belong in every room. Not every stage can handle your substance. Not every circle deserves your fire. Don't lower your wattage to make others comfortable. Shine unapologetically. You were made to expose things, to break yokes, to reveal truth that others have buried under religion, trauma, or fear. You've carried this mantle long before you had language for it. As a child, you were sensitive. You felt things others didn't. You saw things others ignored. Your spirit was marked, even when your mind didn't understand. You weren't weird. You were wired for warfare. You were set apart to disrupt cycles that enslaved your bloodline for generations. Even your presence disrupts generational curses. The things that bound your ancestors won't bind you. You're the line in the sand, the wall the enemy can't pass, the door to freedom for everyone attached to your name. This is why your process has been so intense. Why your wilderness seasons have lasted longer than others. God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you, teaching you how to survive without applause, training you to lean on His voice when others go silent, developing strength in private that will be needed for public impact. You don't need validation to walk in authority. When God anoints, He also defends. And right now, Heaven is defending your position. You don't need to explain yourself. The results will speak. The light will speak. The fruit will speak. Chosen one, your very being is a blow to the kingdom of darkness. You disrupt dysfunction, confusion, compromise. You shine without trying, because it's not about trying, it's about being. You are a carrier of divine DNA. You are heaven's answer to someone's captivity. Your light is somebody's lifeline. So keep shining. Keep showing up. Keep speaking what God gives you to say, even if your voice shakes. Keep moving, even if you feel unsure. The Spirit of God goes before you, behind you, within you. You are not alone, and you are not weak. You are a divine weapon, chosen, consecrated, commissioned. And while the battle is real, so is the backing. You have support in ways you can't even see. God is raising up people to stand with you, pray with you, believe with you. You weren't made to carry this light alone. We need each other. If this word has confirmed something in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. There are others walking through darkness right now who need the light you're carrying. Sometimes all it takes is one message, one whisper of truth, to remind someone of their calling. So, if this has spoken to you, Like it. Share it with someone who's been struggling to remember their worth. Let them know the fight wasn't in vain. Let them hear what the enemy tried to keep them from discovering. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Stay connected. Don't let this fire fade, keep it burning. If you feel led to go further, to sow into the work that's fanning this flame, know that every seed you plant helps keep this message going. It strengthens the reach, supports the mission, and expands the light. Give only if your heart feels stirred to do so. Never out of pressure, always out of partnership. The battle may be intense, but you are not alone in it. You were never meant to stand alone. Heaven is backing you, and so are we. Chosen one. This shift requires obedience. You feel it, don't you? That holy stirring, the pull that keeps tugging at your spirit when everything around you says to wait, to pause, to stay still. But God is saying, move. Not because you're ready by human standards, but because you're ready by heaven's clock. The hour has turned. Obedience is no longer optional, it's critical. Heaven is moving quickly now. There is acceleration in the air. What took others years will happen in moments for those who yield. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to obey. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. And in this season, the cost of hesitation is too high. You've prayed for direction, and God is speaking. You've fasted for answers, and heaven has responded. Now is the moment to act. You've already lingered at the edge of breakthrough long enough. The next step doesn't require more signs, it requires surrender. Your obedience is the trigger. It unlocks doors. It releases provision. It activates promises that have been hovering in the spirit, waiting for your yes. You don't need to make it perfect. You just need to move. Even if the step feels small, it sets massive things in motion. Your obedience is not just about you, it's about everyone connected to your obedience. Think of Abraham. He left everything familiar because God said go. He didn't know where he was going, but his yes rewrote history. His obedience created a nation. What if your obedience births freedom for thousands? What if your step forward sets captives free? It was declared in Deuteronomy 28. If you fully obey the Lord your God, all these blessings will come on you and accompany you. If you obey the Lord your God. This is the moment where obedience becomes your oil, where sacrifice turns into supernatural flow. Chosen one. Don't let logic talk you out of obedience. You're not being led by your mind, you're being led by your spirit. Your heart knows this is the moment. Don't wait for others to validate what God already confirmed. You've asked God for a sign. Here it is. The urgency, the clarity, the prophetic confirmation arriving at your exact hour of questioning. This is not coincidence. This is divine orchestration. Don't resist what's trying to rescue you. Let go of the fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of failing. Fear of what people will say. Let the fear fall. What's on the other side of your obedience is greater than any temporary discomfort. You've been here before, circling the same mountain, but now the command is clear. Move forward. Every time you obey, you break the power of delay. You shatter the agreements with mediocrity and fear. Every step is prophetic warfare. When you obey, you speak to heaven and to hell, saying, I choose God's will over mine. The temptation to procrastinate is real. The spirit of delay is subtle but deadly. It tells you there's time, that you can wait, but time is a currency, and you are in a kairos moment, a divine window that doesn't stay open forever. This is not just a good idea. It's a God idea. And when God breathes on it, even the impossible bows. You may feel unqualified, but your yes qualifies you. Obedience isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. The moment you align, heaven responds. So stop questioning what you know in your spirit. Stop asking for another confirmation when the one inside you won't stop burning. God is waiting on your yes, not your understanding. Your surrender, not your strategy. The glory falls on the obedient, not the popular, not the perfect, but the surrendered. You've been waiting on a move of God. What if God is waiting on a move from you? This moment is sacred. Don't just hear this and walk away. Let it cut. Let it convict. Let it awaken something in you that will never go back to sleep. And if this word pierced your spirit, if it shook something inside you, let heaven know. Comment, "I will obey," as a declaration of your surrender. Let the spirit world record your yes. Let the heavens align with your obedience. This is your moment. Don't miss it. Chosen one, you carry fire in your bones. This isn't emotional hype. This is divine reality. There is something in you that won't let you settle, can't be silenced, and refuses to conform. It's not rebellion, it's fire. Holy fire. The kind that wakes you up at odd hours to pray. The kind that makes you weep during worship when no one else is moved. The kind that burns even when your body is exhausted. That's the fire of God. And it's alive inside you. You didn't earn it. You didn't manufacture it. God placed it there. A piece of His own breath, burning, consuming, refining. It keeps you sensitive. It keeps you uncomfortable in compromise. It won't let you stay in places you've outgrown spiritually. That fire is your gift, your compass, your mark of separation. Jeremiah once said in Jeremiah 20, "Jew, His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot." That's what you're feeling now. That holy unrest. That spiritual agitation. It's not anxiety. It's not confusion. It's the fire telling you it's time. You can't contain this anymore. You weren't meant to. The fire is not just to warm you, it's to ignite others. You are a spark. Heaven's matchstick in a world gone cold. When you speak, something happens, not just to ears, but to spirits. You stir sleeping souls. You awaken things that have been buried. You provoke holiness, even if you don't realize it. That's why some people resist you. It's not personal. It's spiritual. Your fire makes their comfort zones combust. But this fire comes with responsibility. It cannot be misused, ignored, or silenced. It must be stewarded. God didn't ignite you for entertainment. He lit you for transformation. You've been chosen to carry weight in the Spirit. That means the fire will often make you feel different, set apart, even lonely. But it's not isolation, it's consecration. Your journey hasn't been easy, because God's been using it to add fuel to your fire. Every disappointment, every heartbreak, every betrayal logs on the altar. They fed the flames. The fire didn't go out. It grew hotter. It refined you. It consumed what couldn't go with you. And now what's left is something hell cannot handle. You've been asking why you feel everything so deeply, why you can't ignore injustice, why you can't tolerate religion without relationship, why you crave something real, rough, holy, It's because the fire won't let you play church. It demands encounter. It demands truth. It demands movement. There is a prophetic urgency in your spirit, not because you're dramatic, but because the times demand discernment. You can sense shifts before others do. You pick up on atmosphere changes. You feel weight where others feel nothing. That's the fire, alerting you, equipping you, sharpening you. And it's not going out. In fact, it's about to spread. Because fire always spreads when it finds something flammable. And God is about to place you in rooms where hearts are dry, where souls are numb, and your fire will be the spark that changes everything. But don't let the fire be dimmed. Don't let complacency put out what God lit. Guard your altar. Protect your flame. Feed it with the word. Fan it with worship. Stir it with surrender. The fire in you is not ordinary. It's not emotional. It's supernatural. It's generational. You are the fire starter for your bloodline. The one who shifts everything. The one who carries heat where there's been nothing but cold cycles and frozen potential. You don't need approval to burn. You don't need applause. Just keep burning. Keep praying. Keep fasting. Keep obeying. The world doesn't need more influencers. It needs more intercessors on fire. And that's who you are. This fire will cost you comfort. It may even cost you people, but it will give you clarity. It will give you purpose. It will give you the kind of authority that breaks chains and opens eyes. Chosen one, let the fire burn. Don't explain it. Don't justify it. Don't tame it to make others feel safe. God lit you on purpose, to purify, to provoke, to prepare the way, and this is just the beginning. Chosen one, you're not losing your mind, you're shifting. It's been disorienting, hasn't it? The way people have fallen away without warning. The sudden heaviness in places that used to feel like home. The sacred things that once gave you peace now feel distant. You've questioned your sanity in silence, wondering if something is wrong with you. But here is the truth. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. Spiritual transitions often masquerade as emotional chaos. That ache in your chest, that pull to isolate, that craving for quiet, it's not depression, it's detachment. God is pulling you away from what no longer aligns with your destiny. The confusion is simply the conflict between your old season and the new dimension you're being called into. And yes, it's painful. Transformation always is. Caterpillars don't grow wings without pressure. And you, glory carrier, atmosphere shifter, chain breaker, are being stretched for flight. You can't fit in anymore because you're not meant to. The language of your last season no longer speaks to the mantle being placed on your shoulders now. That's why familiar places feel foreign. Why conversations that once satisfied now sound shallow. God is upgrading your appetite, elevating your discernment. And with that elevation comes separation. Don't fight it. Let what needs to fall. Let what needs to fade. Fade. Some of what you've been holding on to is tied to an identity God is asking you to shed. You are not who you used to be, and pretending to still fit in that old version of yourself will only delay your arrival. The shifting is a shedding. Old fears, outdated mindsets, worn-out cycles, they can't travel with you into what God is building. You've cried out for purpose, for clarity, for elevation, but what you didn't know was that the road to those things would require pruning, and pruning doesn't feel like blessing, it feels like loss. But it's not loss, It's divine removal. God is making space. Space for peace, for power, for prophetic precision. What felt like chaos is actually construction. You're being rebuilt with intention. Nothing wasted. Every broken piece repurposed. Every weakness infused with grace. Romans 12:2 reminds us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's what's happening now. A mental metamorphosis. Your thoughts are shifting. Your desires are realigning. Your spirit is taking the lead, and your flesh doesn't know how to follow. That's where the disorientation comes from. Your natural eyes see one thing, but your spirit sees another. You're hearing instructions that don't make sense on paper, but they make perfect sense in the secret place. That's how you know it's God. The spiritual weight you've been feeling, that's not punishment, it's preparation. You're not going crazy. You're growing. Spiritually, emotionally, prophetically. The womb of your destiny is contracting. Something is being birthed in you. And the enemy wants you to abort the process by convincing you it's confusion. But it's not confusion. It's confirmation. You're stepping into dimensions you didn't even pray for, but you were born for them. The shaking is divine alignment. The loss is divine mercy. The discomfort is divine timing. And though your flesh may scream, your spirit is rejoicing. Because deep down, you know this is the turning point. This is the sacred in-between. The hallway between who you were and who you're becoming. And though it may feel like no man's land, it is holy ground. God meets people in the middle. That's where transformation happens. You don't have to understand it to walk through it. Just take the next step. Even if you're unsure, even if you feel unqualified, even if all you can do is whisper a tired yes, God hears it, and He honors it. This shift is not about speed. It's about surrender. God is doing a deep work, a lasting one, the kind of change that doesn't wear off after a good worship set. This is not a moment. It's a movement, and it's happening inside you. You may not have the words to describe it yet, but you'll recognize the fruit. New peace, new vision, new authority. You'll carry something different, not louder, but deeper, not flashier, but purer. You'll become the kind of person whose presence causes others to feel God without even saying a word. That's the power of this shift. It's not about climbing ladders. It's about being a ladder, a bridge between heaven and earth, a vessel that's been emptied of ego, filled with glory, and sent to do damage to darkness. So let the shift happen. Let the old burn away. Let the false fall off. Let the Spirit rebuild you from the inside out. What emerges will not be a better version of you. It will be a truer version. The you God imagined when He breathed your name into existence. Chosen one. You're not losing your mind. You're shifting. Chosen one. You were always the breaker. The reason life has felt heavier for you than others isn't because you're weaker. It's because you were born to carry weight. Spiritual weight. Generational weight. The kind that doesn't just shift atmospheres, it shatters strongholds. You've wondered why certain battles never touched others the way they touched you. Why the same cycles that left others undisturbed tried to bury you. It's not because you were cursed, it's because you were called to break them. God raised you as the breaker in your bloodline. The one who says, "It ends with me." The one whose silence breaks when compromise speaks. The one whose feet walk into environments infected with darkness and shake the foundation without even raising a hand. You may have felt overlooked, but in the spirit, Your life has always made noise. You've been hell's target for a reason. Because your obedience unlocks generational freedom. When you speak, cycles break. When you worship, chains fall. When you pray, doors open. You don't need a title to walk in authority. You don't need a platform to disrupt systems. Your very DNA has been encoded with divine rebellion against fear, against shame, against anything that tried to rule your family line before you came. This is why you never fit in. You weren't born to blend, you were born to break. To be the first to say no to silence, the first to refuse addiction, the first to walk in emotional health, the first to see clearly and speak boldly. Your clarity cost you. Your voice wasn't handed to you, it was forged in fire. And now, when you open your mouth, heaven leans in. Isaiah 10:27 says, "The yoke will be destroyed because of the anointing." That anointing lives in you. Not borrowed, not inherited. Given. You carry breaker oil. The kind that doesn't just make people cry, it makes demons flee. You disrupt what's been tolerated for too long. You challenge what was accepted as normal. And yes, it's made you a target. But it's also made you unstoppable. You weren't created to maintain. You were created to overthrow. That's why tradition couldn't hold you. Why religion couldn't tame you. You don't just question broken systems, you collapse them. You don't just dream of freedom, you walk in it. And everywhere your feet touch becomes a threat to darkness. Even your warfare has been different, heavier, more intense. Not because you're weak, but because your freedom was never just for you. The attacks weren't random, they were retaliation. Every spiritual ambush was designed to distract the deliverer in you, to keep you questioning your worth so you'd never realize your weaponry. But God never let you break. He allowed just enough fire to refine you, just enough betrayal to purify your motives, just enough delay to teach you dependence. And now, you walk with something few can name, but all can feel. There's a weight to you, a wisdom, a presence, a breaker's authority. This mantle on your life is not light. It's not trendy. It's not convenient. It costs. And yet, you said yes. Even when it hurt. Even when it isolated you. Even when no one clapped or came to your rescue. You still stood. Still prayed. Still stayed faithful. You didn't need applause. You needed alignment. And now, because you stayed aligned, you're stepping into an outpouring of influence that matches the pain you've endured. Not popularity. Power. Heaven-backed power. The kind that opens doors that no man can shut. Chosen one. You're not just a survivor. You're a sign. A prophetic marker that says, God still delivers. God still raises. God still anoints. People may never understand the depth of your warfare, but they'll witness the fruit of your obedience. You are the breaker, and God is about to use your life to break wide open doors for others. Your testimony is more than a story, it's a sword. The same voice you almost lost will now carry freedom for nations. The same tears you cried in silence will now water the soil of revival. You weren't just kept, you were commissioned. So walk in it, without fear, without apology. You don't need to tone it down. Don't dim what God lit. Let the full breaker's fire burn through your words, your walk, your witness. Hell regrets letting you live. Because now, you're not just walking in breakthrough, you're giving it away. And if this word confirms what you've known in your spirit, but couldn't explain in words, let it be written in the atmosphere. Type I break through in the comments as a declaration, not just for you, but for every name tied to your legacy. This is not just about your life, it's about the line behind you and the line after you. You were born to break what broke them. Let the enemy see it. Let heaven record it. Let earth feel it. You are the breaker. It ends with you, chosen one. Hell will regret touching you. What the enemy meant to use as your end will now serve as heaven's evidence. Everything that was sent to destroy you, every betrayal, every breakdown, every blow was a failed attempt. And now the tables are turning. What once wounded, you will become the very weapon God uses to wage war through your testimony. You didn't die in it. You didn't drown under it. And because of that, there is power on your life that hell can't reverse. You are walking, breathing proof that God preserves what He purposes. The attacks didn't stop you, they strengthened you. The fire didn't consume you, it crowned you. You've been marked by survival, but now you'll be defined by revival. There are those who wrote you off, those who whispered behind your back, the ones who watched your pain like it was entertainment. They thought your breakdown was your burial, but what they didn't see coming was resurrection. What they couldn't imagine was that the same pit you were thrown into would become your platform. Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. All things, not just the holy moments, not just the peaceful days, but the sleepless nights, the messy failures, the dark valleys. It's all being redeemed, rearranged, rewritten in your favor. There is glory rising from your grief. The suffering wasn't wasted. The affliction wasn't pointless. God is a redeemer, and He is turning the ashes of your past into a fire that fuels generations. You'll speak to rooms you were once too broken to enter. You'll minister healing in places where you once cried in silence. You'll walk in authority over every demon that dared to touch your promise. You see, the enemy made a fatal mistake. He let you live, and because you lived, there is now a divine vengeance being released. Not petty revenge, not carnal retaliation, but holy recompense. God is restoring the years, repaying the losses, reclaiming the ground. What's coming to you isn't random, it's justice. For every tear, every unanswered prayer, every moment you thought God had gone quiet, He wasn't absent. He was watching, weeping with you. And now, He's moving. Don't be surprised when favor finds you suddenly. When the very people who overlooked you have to acknowledge the light you now carry. Don't flinch when doors open quickly, or when restoration comes faster than explanation. That's what divine reversals look like. Swift, unfair in your favor, orchestrated by a hand no man can block. You're not just entering a new season, you're entering a divine unveiling. What was hidden in pain will be revealed in power. What you survived in secret will become a public testimony of God's goodness. And yes, there will be voices that question it. People who want the old version of you, who don't understand how someone who was once so broken can now carry so much fire. Let them wonder. You don't need to prove anything. The fruit will speak. The glow will testify. The favor will answer. You've been through enough to lose your mind, but instead, you gained clarity. You've suffered enough to give up, but instead, you found God. And now that same God is elevating you, not for popularity, but for purpose, to take territory, to shake systems, to bring light into shadows others were too afraid to enter. You are evidence. That's why this mission matters. That's why we keep speaking, praying, pouring, because your life is proof that God still resurrects, still chooses, still moves. If this message has stirred something in your spirit, don't let it stop with you. Share it. Someone else is standing on the edge of despair right now, needing a voice to pull them back from the brink. Like it. Not for numbers, but to keep this fire moving across timelines and territories. Subscribe. Not just to follow, but to stay connected to the sound that keeps calling you deeper. And if your heart feels led, support this mission. Your gift, your seed, your partnership, it keeps the oil flowing. The messages reaching, the light breaking through digital darkness. We don't take it lightly. Every view, every share, every comment, it's ministry. And when you pour into this space, you're not giving to a person, you're sowing into breakthrough, into healing, into awakening. Because this isn't about a screen, this is about souls, chosen one. You carry the scars, but now you carry the sword. And every swing of your obedience is dismantling what generations bowed to. You are dangerous to darkness now. You're not just anointed, you're armed. Your history didn't disqualify you, it qualified you. And hell will regret ever touching you. Chosen one. This is prophetic timing. There are moments in life that feel like any other ordinary days, routine hours. And then there are moments like this, moments that carry the weight of eternity, moments where the natural pauses and the supernatural steps in. You are standing in one of those moments right now. This is not coincidence. This is not random. This is prophetic alignment. The tug you've been feeling in your spirit, the pressure building silently in your atmosphere, it's been leading here. Everything that felt delayed wasn't denial. It was divine timing, protecting divine design. God has been orchestrating details behind the scenes, layering promises on top of preparation, waiting until the moment was ripe. Now it is. There are doors you couldn't have forced open, even if you tried. And now, without warning, without striving, they are about to swing wide. Not because of manipulation, not because of performance, but because it's time when heaven says, now. No gate can stay locked. You've been tested long enough, refined long enough, hidden long enough. This next unfolding is not something you earn, it's something you step into. Because you stayed, because you obeyed, because you didn't abandon the process when it felt barren. Eclesiastes 3:1 declares, there is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. And now, that time belongs to you. It's not just the changing of a calendar, it's the turning of a divine page. What's been dormant is awakening. What's been held back is being released. What was once out of reach is coming into your hands. This is why the warfare intensified. Why your spirit felt the pressure long before anything changed in the natural. The enemy always senses proximity. And as you got closer to this moment, the distractions came faster. The spiritual noise grew louder. But through it all, something in you knew this was more than survival. This was a threshold. And now, you're crossing it. You're about to step into answers you forgot you prayed for. Walk through doors you assumed had closed forever. Hear confirmations that will silence years of doubt. But none of this is for vanity. It's for assignment. The elevation is not a trophy, it's a tool. You're being positioned not for popularity, but for power, for impact, for movement in places where stillness has reigned for too long. Don't be surprised when things accelerate. When people you once looked up to now look to you for guidance. When opportunities find you without you chasing them. This is what prophetic timing looks like. It's not logical. It's orchestrated. Heaven's hand moving through the calendar of your life, setting divine appointments you didn't even know existed. There is strategy in this shift. What felt like randomness in your past was actually prophetic groundwork. God was never scrambling. He was scheduling. And now, everything is syncing. Conversations will make sense. Delays will look like deliverance. The patterns will align, and you'll realize it had to happen this way. Even your detours were divine. That season of silence, that painful redirection. The closed doors you cried over, they weren't setbacks. They were stage setters, preparing you to receive what your heart was ready for. But your hands were not yet trained to carry. Chosen one, you are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are on time, perfectly aligned with the plans of a God who doesn't make mistakes. This is why certain connections couldn't stay. Why God allowed distance where you wanted closeness. He was protecting the flow of this moment, securing the purity of your next level. And yes, it may come suddenly, but it won't come recklessly. You've been measured, veihed, prepared. This next door won't crush you, it will crown you. You'll walk through it with the wisdom of the wilderness still on your feet, and the oil of obedience still on your forehead. You are not the same person who started this journey. You've been forged, sharpened, set apart. This moment belongs to you not because you forced it, but because you waited for it. And when heaven's clock strikes your name, nothing and no one can delay what's been decreed. Step boldly, step humbly, step with full awareness that you are standing in a moment where the veil is thin and the Spirit of God is near. This is prophetic timing. Chosen one. Angels are on assignment tonight. There is a stirring in the heavenlies, a movement that can't be seen with the natural eye, but your spirit feels it. An urgency, a holy tension. You've sensed the atmosphere shifting, and it's not your imagination. Heaven has released reinforcements on your behalf. The very angels who guarded you in childhood, who wept with you in seasons of pain, who warred for you in the night, those angels are now active with new orders, because you've reached a spiritual tipping point. What was held up is being released. What was restrained is being loosed. You've prayed for help, cried for answers, fasted for direction, and heaven has heard. You're not just being watched, you're being backed. There are angelic beings on assignment, dispatched to protect what you're birthing and to war for what's been promised. Psalm 91. Once declares, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And tonight, that word is alive over your life. These angels don't come empty-handed. They come with scrolls, with blueprints, with strategies. They come bearing answers that align with your yes. You've walked through fire and flood. You've endured isolation and misunderstanding. And through it all, your spirit kept whispering, there's more. That whisper wasn't desperation. It was discernment. You were hearing the sound of approaching help. This is why things felt so heavy lately. Not because you were failing, but because you were transitioning. And every great transition is marked by angelic movement. Jacob saw it. Daniel encountered it. Mary experienced it. And now it's your turn. You are not alone in this next stretch. God has sent help in the Spirit, And the shift is happening as you read this. Angels have been assigned to the doorways ahead of you, the ones you haven't seen yet. They're clearing paths, blocking counterfeits, protecting promises. There are rooms with your name on them, and angels are going ahead to make sure no demonic force can occupy what God ordained for you. And it's not just about protection, it's about positioning. Your alignment matters now more than ever. The more sensitive you become to the Spirit, the more aware you'll be of the angelic presence around you. You'll begin to sense when to speak, when to move, when to wait. That's not just intuition. That's divine guidance. Angels don't just guard, they guide. They respond to obedience. They follow the scent of surrender. And they surround those who walk in alignment with heaven's rhythm. That's you, even when you didn't know the language for it. You've been walking with God, stumbling at times, but never straying far from the flame. Your journey has not gone unnoticed, and your next chapter won't be unwatched. You are surrounded, supported, shielded. Every step forward will be flanked by unseen warriors. Every assignment you step into will come with a heavenly escort. The enemy knows it. That's why the distractions have increased. Why old patterns tried to return. Why familiar spirits circled back with new faces. Because hell can sense angelic activity, and it's terrified. Because when angels move, it means promises are being fulfilled. And you, chosen one, are a fulfillment of prophecy in motion. You are heaven's agenda in the earth, a living, breathing answer to someone else's cry. That's why angels move when you move. That's why the Spirit leans in when you speak. Your alignment is not just for you, it's for others. Your obedience activates heaven. And tonight, that activation is alive. If your spirit bears witness to this, if you feel the stirring, the shift, the unseen activity rising around your life, mark this moment. Let it be known in the Spirit and declared in the atmosphere. Type 777 in the comments as a prophetic agreement with what's been loosed over your life. 3 sevens, heaven's signature of completion, fulfillment, and perfection. When you do, you're not just commenting, you're partnering with angels, with purpose, with prophetic time. Heaven is watching, hell is trembling, and angels are moving. Chosen one, no more spiritual amnesia. You've wandered long enough in forgetfulness, forgetting who you are, what you carry, and why you were sent. The confusion wasn't accidental. It was warfare, an intentional attack to keep you blind to your authority. Because if you ever remembered, really remembered, the enemy knew he'd have no chance of stopping you. But today, clarity returns. Not the surface-level kind. Not emotional highs that fade with the hour. This is a deep, internal awakening. A holy remembering. The kind that rises from your spirit and overtakes every lie, every limitation, every label you've ever been given. The fog is lifting. The illusion is breaking. And beneath it, the original you, the anointed, appointed, sent version is re-emerging. You were never meant to blend into this world's noise. You were always meant to carry a sound of heaven, but life tried to dull that sound. Pain tried to silence it. Religion tried to tame it. And still, it refused to die. That sound is rising again. It's not something new, it's something ancient, something holy, something you were born with. You were called before you were ever conscious of calling, marked before you could speak, spiritually known, long before you were socially noticed. And in the chaos of life, the lies tried to rewrite your script, but your spirit never forgot. And now, your mind is catching up. Romans 8:16 says, "The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children." That inner witness is being reactivated. You're not who the world said you were. You're not who trauma tried to convince you to become. You're not defined by failure, by fear, by rejection. You are who God says you are, and nothing else. You were always the one chosen to break through, the one destined to disturb darkness, the one created to carry prophetic sight in a generation blind to truth. You've heard whispers in your spirit, felt impressions others couldn't explain. You thought it was just sensitivity, but it was discernment. Prophetic DNA, recognizing environments, people, moments long before your mind could analyze them. That's why you've been misunderstood, why you've been labeled too much, too deep, or too intense. Because you're not just intuitive, you're spiritually alert. And that alertness is dangerous to systems that thrive in slumber. Your awakening is contagious. When you remember who you are, others start remembering too. You weren't just attacked to destroy you, you were attacked to disconnect you from memory. The moment you recall your assignment, hell's grip weakens. Because a chosen one who knows who they are is a weapon no demon can contain. This remembering isn't just emotional, it's transformational. Your posture is changing. Your tone is shifting. Your decisions are aligning. You're no longer living in reaction. You're walking in revelation. What used to confuse you now makes sense. What used to intimidate you now reveals opportunity. You're discerning patterns, reading atmospheres, sensing movement before it manifests. This is the realm you were born for. You're not just recalling your gifts, you're recovering your inheritance. The dreams you shelved, the ideas you abandoned, the prophetic words you dismissed. They're coming back to life, because they were never truly dead, just dormant, waiting for you to remember, waiting for your yes. You're reclaiming territory, internally first, then externally. The mind is being renewed, the heart is being reawakened, the vision is sharpening. You won't settle for small anymore. You can't go back to average. Once you remember, you can't unsee. Once you're awakened, you can't pretend to be asleep. Chosen one, let the memories rise. Not of trauma, but of truth. Not of who hurt you, but of who healed you. Let the Spirit walk you back through every moment you thought God was absent, and show you how He was there, preparing you to remember this exact moment. You felt the pull, the invitation, the realignment. And it's not just for emotion's sake. It's so you can move with intention. You've been called out of survival into significance, out of spiritual fog into prophetic clarity. This is your identity, and it's not borrowed, not dependent on people, not subject to mood. It's eternal, unshakable, sealed in heaven. And now that you remember, you'll never move the same again. You are not searching anymore. You've been found, chosen one. Divine reversals are in motion. The tables are turning not by accident, not by human intervention, but by the sovereign hand of God. The very things that stood against you are about to work for you. The things that were used to shame you will become testimonies that carry glory. The setups meant for your downfall are now being rewritten as stepping stones into your next. You've endured injustice, some of it visible, most of it hidden. Words twisted, intentions questioned. motives misunderstood. There were moments you wanted to defend yourself, to speak up, to correct the narrative. But something greater in your spirit said, "Be still." And you listened. You held your peace when your flesh wanted to roar. And now, heaven is responding. There is a kind of vindication that only God can bring, the kind that doesn't just make things right, but makes them glorious. You don't just get back what was lost, you receive more than what was taken. You don't just get repaid in measure, you get restored in multiples. This is not about revenge, it's about justice. Holy, measured, perfect justice. Genesis 50:20 echoes through this moment. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. What was meant to break you has built you into something unshakable. And now, that strength is about to be on display. What they buried is rising. What they mocked is moving. What they underestimated is now undeniable. This is the season where wrongs are being made right, not by your effort, but by His decree. God is issuing reversal orders from His throne, and when He speaks, creation responds. People will circle back with apologies they never thought they'd give. Opportunities you were once denied will now knock again, but this time, you choose. Doors that were slammed shut in your face will reopen with favor written across them. And it won't be quiet. Your restoration will not happen in secret. God is restoring you publicly, intentionally, visibly, not to humiliate your enemies, but to glorify Himself. People who witnessed your wilderness will now witness your wonder. Those who questioned your call will be silenced by the fruit it produces. Not because you shouted louder, but because your obedience did. You don't have to announce this shift. It will announce itself. In how your countenance changes, in how your atmosphere shifts, in how your steps carry new weight. People will feel it before you say a word. Because divine reversal doesn't just change situations, it changes presence. You're no longer explaining yourself. That season is over. This is the time where God does the speaking through manifestation, where fruit speaks louder than frustration, where the oil on your life answers every accusation without a word. What was overlooked is being highlighted. What was stolen is being returned. What was delayed is being released. And more than the restoration of things is the restoration of you, your peace, your voice, your strength, your dreams. They're not just returning, they're returning renewed. You're not getting back who you were. You're becoming who you were always meant to be. Every wrong turn was covered by grace. Every lost opportunity was recorded in God's books. And now, divine compensation is being issued. Not because you demanded it, but because God promised it. This reversal will affect every layer of your life. Spiritually, emotionally, relationally, financially. God is leaving no area untouched. He is restoring wholeness, not fragments, completeness, not just compensation. Even your enemies will have to acknowledge it, because this isn't about revenge, it's about redemption. And redemption always speaks louder than retaliation. God is not just giving you back the years the locusts have eaten, He's giving you the harvest they tried to devour. So walk in it, quietly, boldly, fully aware that this is not favor you chased, it's favor that was assigned to find you. You don't need to prove anything. The reversal proves God. The restoration proves He never left. The fruit proves the root was real, even when no one else saw it. Chosen one, the divine reversal is already unfolding. Step forward with steady hands and an anchored heart. What was working against you is now bowing before you. And what once caused you tears will soon leave you in awe. Chosen one. The chosen must stay connected. You were never meant to burn alone. The fire you carry was never intended to be preserved in isolation. This kind of light, this kind of calling, requires community, covenant, and consistency. Isolation is where the enemy does his best work. He doesn't need to destroy the chosen if he can distract them. He doesn't need to defeat you if he can detach you from the flow that keeps your flame alive. You've noticed it, haven't you? Every time you feel alignment, something tries to pull you away. Subtle fatigue, old distractions, confusion, misunderstanding. Suddenly, the voices that kept your spirit sharp begin to fade. And before long, you feel like you're drifting again. But here's the truth. You were never designed to carry your calling in silence. Even Jesus surrounded himself with those who could walk the road of purpose. And if the Son of God valued connection, covenant, and spiritual partnership, how much more should we? This is the hour of divine gathering. The time for scattered, fragmented faith is over. God is calling his chosen ones into alignment, not for entertainment, but for equipping, not for attention, but for activation. You've been hungry for something real, something deeper, something alive. And that hunger is holy. It's heaven's way of drawing you into places where your fire won't be extinguished, it will be fueled. You've tasted it in moments. A word that struck you like lightning. A message that felt like it was crafted just for your soul. A sound that reminded you, this is where I belong. This is what I needed. That wasn't content, it was confirmation. Hebrews 10:25 tells us, do not give up meeting together, but encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. This isn't just about attending something. It's about attaching to the right places, aligning with the right voices, submitting to the right sound, because your future is not just about your private devotion. It's also about your prophetic connection. You've outgrown shallow spaces. You can no longer pretend to be fed where your spirit starves. The days of sitting in silence while your flame fades are over. You are not like the rest. You are marked. And because of that, where you sit matters. Who you listen to matters. Where you pour matters. God is raising a remnant, and it includes you. He's gathering warriors, prophets, intercessors, deliverers, those who were misunderstood by the masses but known in the throne room. And when these ones unite, hell shakes. This is not a social club. This is not a fan base. This is a movement of the marked, and that's why staying connected matters now more than ever. If this word has resonated, if something in your spirit said, this is for me, don't let it pass by like another video, another scroll, another feeling. Take a step. Stay near the fire. This flame isn't just for you, it's for every person attached to your obedience. Click like, not for the algorithm, but to mark the moment in agreement. Share it with someone else, carrying weight in silence. Someone you know is one word away from remembering who they are. You might not realize it, but your share could be their lifeline. A digital touch that triggers spiritual awakening. And subscribe so you stay close to what God is building here. This isn't random. It's strategic. Messages like these don't come to entertain. They come to equip. They come to wake up every part of you that's been surviving in stillness. Don't miss the next word heaven releases. Stay locked in. Stay sharpened. And if this word fed, you consider partnering. What you sow helps spread the sound. Every gift, every seed, every act of generosity fuels the reach. We don't give to man, we give into the mantle, into the movement, into the mission. If you've been changed here, help someone else be changed too. Help this fire stretch beyond borders and screens. You don't have to give everything, just give in alignment with what you've received. Generosity keeps the oil flowing, the message moving, and the mission alive. Not out of pressure, but out of partnership. And now, as your spirit settles into this truth, mark your moment. Drop, still burning in the comments. 2 words, but they carry the weight of 100. Let the digital space become sacred ground. Let the scroll become a sanctuary. Say it, not for others, but for your spirit, as a sign that your flame didn't go out and it never will. Because the chosen don't just survive, they stay lit, stay connected, stay aligned, stay on fire. Chosen one, you are the evidence of God's power, not just in what you say, but in what you've survived. You are living, breathing proof that grace is more than an idea, it's a force, a covering, a shield. When people ask for proof that God still moves, they don't need to look far. They just need to look at you. They don't know what it took to be here. They don't know the nights you barely made it through, the prayers whispered through clenched teeth, the silent tears cried into pillows, the storms that almost swallowed you whole. But God knows, and heaven has documented every chapter. You didn't just come through, you came through carrying fire. This is not the survival of the fittest. This is the triumph of the faithful. And that triumph, that victory that now clings to your breath, is the mark of power. God's power. Because only God can take shattered people and build them into sanctuaries. Only God can use brokenness as the birthplace of boldness. 2 Corinthians 4:7 says, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." You were never supposed to be perfect. The cracks in your life only make His glory shine brighter. The very things others thought disqualified you have now become your divine distinction. You've walked into rooms that should have crushed you, faced opposition that should have silenced you, endured betrayals that should have left you bitter, and yet, here you stand whole, aware, alive. You are the miracle the enemy hoped no one would notice. You're not famous, but you're fruitful, not loud, but lethal. You don't need a stage to carry weight in the spirit. You don't need applause to activate the anointing. Your life is the sermon. Your endurance is the prophecy. Your obedience is the warfare. People have watched you but never understood you. They saw the glow but missed the grinding. They admired your strength but never saw the sorrow. That's fine. They weren't meant to. This testimony was never about showing off. It was about showing God, because you should have lost your mind. You should have folded under the pressure. You should have given up a long time ago. But you didn't. And not because of willpower, but because of divine preservation. God held you together while everything else tried to pull you apart. And now that power is visible, not because you're shouting it, but because you're walking in it. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it just shows up and shifts the atmosphere. That's what happens when you enter the room. The invisible becomes undeniable. You carry presence, not performance. Presence. And that presence breaks things, not because of you, but because of what flows through you. You're the evidence that God still chooses the unlikely, that heaven still trusts the broken, That oil still drips from crushed places. Don't discount your story just because it wasn't glamorous. Glory rarely starts on a stage. It starts in caves, in silence, in warfare no one claps for. And when you come out of that place, still believing, still burning, still faithful, you become evidence. Your name carries weight now, not because of followers or fame, but because of faith. You carry memories of miracles in your bones. Your very existence disrupts the lies of hell. You are the one they whispered wouldn't make it. And yet, your presence is louder than their predictions. You don't need to shout. Your fruit speaks. You don't need to prove. Your persistence already did. You don't need to beg for a seat. You are the table. You don't need to remind anyone what you've survived. God has already marked you with it. Chosen one. The people who once questioned your worth will witness your rise. But it won't be revenge, it will be revelation. They will see what God can do with someone who simply doesn't quit. Someone who stays on the altar when everyone else walks away. You are not a brand. You are a burning bush. A signpost in the wilderness that says, yes, God still moves. Yes, He still calls. Yes, He still speaks through people like me. And as the world gets darker, your life will shine brighter. Not through striving, but through standing. Not by pushing, but by positioning. Not through noise, but through knowing. You are the evidence. Chosen one. You are crowned for the final hour. This isn't just another chapter in your life. It's the culmination of every step, every scar, every stretch of obedience that brought you here. Heaven doesn't crown the comfortable, it crowns the committed. And you have committed, not perfectly, but persistently. You stayed when others fled. You prayed when you had no words. You walked forward when the ground beneath you trembled. And for that, heaven places a crown on your head. This crown isn't made of gold or diamonds. It's forged in fire, pressed by pain, shaped by process. It speaks not of ease, but of endurance, not of position, but of posture, a posture of surrender, of obedience, of deep reverence before a holy God. This hour is not light. It carries weight, the kind of weight that few are willing to bear. But you were never average. You were never ordinary. You've always felt the tension of carrying more than most, sensing deeper than others, moving differently, even when you didn't understand why. That was never weirdness. It was witness of the crown you were always called to wear. The final hour requires final hour vessels, not just those who can speak, but those who can stand, those who can kneel when others run, those who can discern the sound of heaven when the noise of earth is deafening. That's you. Heaven didn't make a mistake when it called your name. You are not unworthy. You are prepared. There is an authority resting on you now, quiet, but undeniable. Holy, not heavy. The kind of authority that doesn't need permission to shift atmospheres. The kind that silences chaos with presence alone. You're not walking into rooms as you anymore. You're walking in as one who's been crowned. And with that crowning comes clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about what matters. Clarity about your next. You no longer chase what you were never called to carry. You no longer explain what was only meant to be discerned. You no longer doubt what has already been confirmed in the secret place. There's no more striving, no more scrambling to prove. The crown doesn't need validation, it is validation. It's the sign that heaven's trust has been placed on you, that your journey wasn't in vain, that every no was protection, every delay was preparation, every loss was positioning. Revelation 3:11 says, "Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown." And now, that word burns fresh in your spirit. You've come too far to go back. You've seen too much to pretend you don't know. You've been marked by fire, filled with oil, anointed for assignment. You carry a mantle, and the world will feel it. Not through noise, but through nations. Not through image, but through impact. Not through attention, but through anointing. You are a carrier of divine disruption. Wherever you go, things shift. Not because of charisma, but because of Christ in you. Your crown is not just for you. It's for every person your life touches from this moment forward. Your children, your community, your lineage. You are walking in generational fulfillment. What others only prayed for, you are now manifesting. Wear the crown with humility, but never with shame. You didn't choose yourself, He chose you. You didn't strive for this moment, it found you. And now, you walk it out. Quietly, boldly, authentically. And when the world asks what changed, you'll know how to answer. You'll say, "He crowned me, and I remembered who I am. Chosen one." What you've just received is more than words. It's a divine transaction. This was heaven meeting you at the exact moment you needed it. You didn't stumble here by mistake. You were summoned to remember your identity, to rise again in power, to stop shrinking beneath the weight of warfare and start standing in the authority of your crown. This was not information. It was impartation. Now, the question is, what will you do with it? You carry a mantle, and mantles must be guarded. Stay close to the voices that pour life into your spirit. Keep your heart positioned. Protect your oil. Stay aligned with what stirs your soul into holy remembrance. If this word spoke directly to your spirit, don't scroll in silence. Like this message, to declare, "I receive this." Share it with someone who needs to remember who they are. Someone who's tired. Someone who's anointed but forgotten their anointing. Your share might be their turning point. Take a moment and comment below. Crowned now. 2 words, but they seal a heavenly moment. Let the atmosphere bear witness. Let the comment section become a scroll of declarations. Don't miss your chance to testify, to echo back what your spirit just heard. Subscribe now, because the fire doesn't stop here. What's coming next is prophetic, weighty, and timely. You were meant to walk this journey, not alone, but with the sound of heaven feeding your faith. And if your heart feels stirred, and you believe in the calling behind this message, you're welcome to partner through prayer, through presence, or through provision. There's no pressure, only invitation. Every act of support, no matter how small, helps carry this fire to those still searching for light. Whether you sow through sharing, subscribing, praying, or giving, know that you are part of something sacred. Your presence matters. Your generosity helps this sound reach the ones who need it most. Stay burning. Stay present. Stay crowned.